Hey y'all, I'm Lindsey Allen. I am the one kidney competitor. I only have one kidney. I have stage 3 chronic kidney disease, and I'm here to make an impact on this world, become the first pro with one kidney, and just kind of make noise about how even with limitation, you can still get to where you want to be. So that's a little about me.
That's awesome. So, looking kind of back, I guess, what really got that ball rolling as far as just your own interest in before bodybuilding and competing and that kind of side of it, just fitness in general.
Yeah, so I could not work out at all. I was a college athlete, actually. I was a cheerleader, but I was so in and out of the hospital all the time. And so my doctors were like, we have to pull you out of school, otherwise you're not gonna live another day. And so I had to get taken out of school, had to travel across the country to go to another hospital. I went to the Mayo Clinic. And that's like college there. So you have to apply to actually get in. And if your case is severe enough, they'll actually take you. So thankfully they took me because my case was severe enough. But basically, after I got cleared, I had so many people coming to me saying, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I feel so sorry for you, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that right there was my little trigger of like, I don't ever want someone to feel sorry for me because the mindset that I'm in is someone always has it worse than you. So I use that as more of my motivator as like, don't feel sorry for me. I may have limitations, but I'm not going to let that define who I am. And I'm not going to let that stop me. So that kind of right there was my giveaway of like, I need to do something with this. And then that's when I fell into fitness. I didn't, I was in a hospital bed, so I wasn't very fit at the time. And so I started going on runs. I started going to the gym and I kind of fell in love with it. So that's kind of how it all started.
Are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. So, how did your mindset mentality? Did you notice any changes when you went from being an athlete to, like I said, just having to drop out of school and go and basically live in a, at a hospital? I mean, how did that start to impact you psychologically?
I didn't realize how much my story actually impacted me, honestly, because I lived through this from the day I was born. I wasn't supposed to be alive up until I was about 20 is when I got cleared from my doctors. So it's the only thing I ever knew was like being sick. So sometimes when people look at me and they ask about my story, I think of it as like, oh, it's just a part of me. I don't think it's that grand. And then I have to actually sit there for a second and be like, no, like you actually inspire people because they're motivated from you. You didn't let those limitations stop you. And so I guess I don't know, it made sense in my head to use my story as a way to help others. So that's kind of, I guess, if that answers your question.
When did that kick in? What was it, a certain event or a certain just day that you realized that, or was it kind of this slow buildup of realizing that?
I think it was just a slow buildup. I grew up with a very tough mom, and she was, in a good way, a very tough mom, where she definitely gave me that mindset of someone always has it worse than you. And so that kind of built my character at a very young age, where I actually had to grow up very quickly because I had health decisions to make. It was me and my mom. My dad was at home taking care of my brother, but it was like me and my mom in the hospital every single day. And as a kid, you don't really know any better. And so you're just trying to live at that point. But I think during the midst of it all, that's kind of when my mindset kind of changed. So kind of during, there wasn't an exact moment because I'm like trying to think about it. I'm like, there was an exact moment. It was just, I think, a buildup of so many moments. Because there's been a moment where I was like, the sirens were going off because I wasn't breathing. So I think it's just a buildup of a bunch of emotions and a bunch of moments, and my mom being hard on me to not let me think and not let my mental health go down the drain in a tough time like that. So I really had no choice but to be strong.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting, that you can look back and see that that was a benefit, the way that, your mom was very, very, just like not kind of letting you become like victimized by this thing, right? And so, looking back on it, looking back at your childhood and stuff like that, was there any evidence suggesting like this is the way my like this is what I want to do with my life, or this is what I want to kind of how I want to shape my life because of my experiences, or kind of like anything along that, or was it just basically surrounding like let's just get through and get to the next day?
Honestly, I was just trying to stay alive, to be honest. For the longest time, they didn't know what exactly was wrong with me. So it was a lot of just questions. So I had a Bible verse that I lived by, which reads, "You may not realize what he's doing for you now, but one day you will." And it's crazy because I'm finally at my one day, which is insane because back then I wasn't ever sure, right? So I would be in the hospital and, they had doctors flying in from different countries trying to figure out why exactly I kept getting sick. And then no one could give me answers. So it's kind of like just a waiting patient game. Even when I got my kidney removed, I still had a infection 6 weeks post-op of that. So there was just it seemed like there was something happening after you think you get to like, oh, this might be it. And then there was another backtrack, like, take 3 steps forward to take 2 steps back. So it was like I was inching my way up to health, but then I would get back down again. And then I'd inch my way back up and get back down. And I think it sounds crazy, but it helped me remain positive because I knew one, God was on my side, and two, I knew that with every little inch that I took, I knew there was positivity in it, even if I did have to come down one notch.
At what point did even college become a like a thought of reality for you? You mentioned, having obviously to drop out and then go to the Mayo Clinic, but at what point did you what was there always like the back and forth of like going home and then going back to a hospital, or was it more like I'm mostly at the hospital and then I'm sometimes going home, or like, and then how did I guess that transition to you then doing college? Are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today.
Yeah, so I guess I'll kind of tell you a little bit about the whole story in a short summary. So the day I was born, I only had a 40-60 chance of living. So the odds weren't in my favor. So I ended up surviving. I was pretty good for my whole life up until I was 13. I just had a lot of pneumonia, chest infections, cysts removed on my chest. I had a lot of breathing problems. I was like on the nebulizer all the time, mostly in my chest. But then when I was 13, I struggled with pain in my side and pain in my back. So all of a sudden I was telling my mom, and my mom's like kind of the tough it out kind of girl, And so come 3, 4 days later, when I'm still experiencing pain, she took me to the doctor, and the doctor said, hey, like, you need to pee in this urine cup. And I don't know what it was, God, it was God saying, like, don't pee in that cup. You need to go to the hospital. So she's like, well, if you can't pee in the cup, you have to go to the hospital. Went to the hospital, ended up doing a CT scan, and the doctor comes and was like, hey, did you know your daughter only has 8% of a functioning kidney? And my mom and I look at each other and we're like, wait, you have the wrong person. Like, no, my daughter's healthy. Like, she just has a little bit of side pain. And they're like, no, we have it right. And so that's when I kind of found out about this kidney stuff. And this may be gross. I'm kind of outing myself here, but when I was younger, I peed the bed really late. I'm totally outing myself. And now we look back and we don't know actually if I was like a kid. When you're a kid, you don't really know pain, right? So I don't know if I was having kidney infections that whole entire time, and I was just so young, I didn't know any different. And so throughout my high school years, I was like in and out of the hospital, but I was on an antibiotic every single day for 4 years straight, where I ended up becoming immune to that antibiotic. And then I was allergic to the other one. So come college, I was in the hospital every single month. I mean, I was hospitalized 7 times in one calendar year. So like actually in the hospital. And basically what happened was that I had reflux that was traveling up to, so my urine would go through my ureter, travel up my ureter, poison my kidney, and then come back down, and then I would urinate. So my body was basically poisoning itself. And so I look back on that now and I'm like, that's kind of crazy. But so yeah, I we took a step back. Doctors realized I needed to get a kidney removed. I got my kidney removed. 6 weeks post-op, I got sick again. Ended up having to get another surgery um, called ureter reimplant. So they reattached my ureter back to my bladder on my other side because I have a cyst on my good kidney and I can't they can't do surgery on it. So they reattached my ureter to my bladder. 6 weeks post-op, got sick again. And then they're like, hey, I think you just need more healing time. And God willing, I needed more healing time. And I finally got cleared from that. So
What was the expectations after that healing time? I mean, was there any set expectation or was it almost just like, let's see what happens?
it was just a let's see what happens. It was like a pray type of moment. You know, the doctors weren't sure. They couldn't give me a guarantee, but they're like, we think this is gonna work. So it was just a waiting game, honestly. And that was the whole journey of it all. And I think that's what taught me to be so patient too. I'm an extremely patient person. And I think going through that, you have to be patient. And God decided to teach me patience at a really young age. And I think that's what made me grow up and mature so quickly because I had no choice. You know, you have to learn to be patient when you're dealing with your health. You know, you can't get answers right away.
So at what point did you start to think about like along that specific journey of like, post surgery and healing and just trying to figure out, what the result of that's going to be and what it's going to look like? At what point did you really start to think, okay, I want to get out there and get physically active and, utilize my body? Was there a sense of like, now that I can like, now that I have this kind of renewed sense maybe of hope a little bit, like I want to utilize what I have or like um maybe some of that, but also like how did the medical team, your medical team, doctors and things respond to you becoming physically active or just the thought of it or the idea of it?
The whole time I was in the hospital, you can ask my mom, she'll even tell you, I was begging my doctors to let me work out. Begging my doctors to let me work out. There was something in me that just always wanted health and fitness to be a lifestyle. And I think it's because I didn't have it for so long that I craved it. You know, it's like when you're in prep and you now can't have any sugar, but it's the fact that you can't have it. Like when I'm not in prep, I don't even eat sugar. Like I don't go eat a candy bar, but when you're in prep and you have the mindset where you can't have it, it makes you want it even more. And so I was in that position where I was like, oh my God, I just want to go to the gym. And I wasn't even like this big fitness person yet. But I just wanted it so bad because I see other people like I don't think people understand how blessed they are when they have a healthy and live a healthy life because I have a disease that I can never get rid of no matter how well I take care of myself. And I just wish people thought for a second, like, hey, I am really blessed to be a healthy person. You know, like I'm very lucky to be a healthy person. You know what I mean? It's just like a mindset. Like I look at it, I'm very limited on what I can take, right? I take a bunch of vitamins, but I can't take any enhancements. I can't even take creatine, right? But I was blessed with something else, and that was my mindset. And I think that's why I have an advantage instead of thinking of it as a disadvantage because I have one kidney. It's actually my advantage. Like my mindset is my steroid. That's 100% true. Like it's gotten me this far and it continues to help me grow and grow and grow and grow. And I think when you have that mindset, it can take you anywhere. But I think you have to put in the work to have that mindset. It's not easy because I could tell myself, hey, I'm going to get up at 4:30 every morning, but my mind can tell me, no, you can snooze, you can hit the snooze alarm, 30 more minutes. But you have to be in control of your mind. If you're not in control of your mind, your body's not going to follow.
When you did start to, really get into the gym and things like that, were there any restrictions that or any precautions that needed to be taken to just see how your body would respond?
Yeah, so at first I was told, so probably 5 years ago, I wanted to step on stage, and my doctors were like, no, not happening. Your levels are way out of whack, like your creatinine level's way too high. You're not allowed to do it, not happening. Got my levels down, and I got a new doctor too. Insurance changes, stuff like that. Nothing against the doctor that I had, but I got the itch to do it again. And I was like, okay, let's see if my doctor would let me. And she's like, okay, but in a healthy way. These are your limitations. And there were a lot more limitations before, but now they've kind of limited, they've decreased a little bit on exactly what, because I've been doing it for so long where my levels have been so good that it's like I can eat 150 grams of protein a day and be okay. My doctor's okay with that. As long as my levels stay where they're at. If they increase at all, then I have to bring it back down. But so far they're good. They're good.
So protein, obviously one of those initial kind of things to look out for. What were, if you don't mind sharing, what were some of those other things that you had to be cautious of? Was it like exercise
Yeah.
intensity or things like that as well? This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
Yeah, at first I had to be on a low potassium diet. And if you know potassium is literally everything that's good for you. Like, you're not going to find potassium in a bag of chips. Like, that's low potassium. Whereas higher potassium foods weren't as good for me in that period of time. But I've been on such a clean diet for so long that my body's really adjusted and that my levels have maintained. I mean, the second I got out of the hospital, I was like, I am eating healthy. I don't want any bad food anymore. Like, I haven't had McDonald's since I was a sophomore in high school. So it's been like 15 years for me, which is insane. But I was just so determined to be healthy and have this health that everybody else has that I was like, we're going to do this. And it's crazy because bodybuilding saved my life. Bodybuilding actually made me go from stage 3 chronic kidney disease to stage 2 is what now my doctor says that I'm at, which is unheard of. So my one kidney actually functions better than some people with two kidneys because of how well I take care of myself.
Even though you have this other thing, like you're still treating your body better than most people. And so you're going to get better, results a lot of times.
Absolutely. I wish people actually took food. I think of fitness in general as there's three tiers to it. The first one is your mindset. If you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to have the other two. And the other two, the second one that's most important, I think, is nutrition. After nutrition, then finally comes fitness, because you can be in the gym 4 hours a day. And if your nutrition is not good, you are not going to feel good mentally, and you're definitely not going to look good physically. But people don't if you're eating whole foods, you're eating whole grains, you're eating things that are growing in the ground, right? Or on a tree. Why do we choose not to eat those things when they're coming from the earth versus eating processed foods? And then America wonders why we don't feel good, or we're having all these diseases pop up, or all this stuff, type 2 diabetes. My dad has type 2 diabetes, and I don't want to throw him on the spot, but he doesn't choose to eat the healthiest. And so it's a reflection in what his diagnoses are. Yeah, and there's certain diets where it's like, oh, you can eat all the bacon that you want because you're not eating carbs. And I'm just, I know that there's things that work for people, and everyone has their own thing that works for them. But I just don't understand how eating processed foods, or how drinking basically bacon juice is going to be more beneficial for you than eating chicken, or eating, all these beans or rice and stuff like that.
Once you do start to get into the bodybuilding scene a little bit and you're maybe learning more about it, what was your takeaway initially from that?
Yeah, so I've only done NPC shows. So at first it was intimidating. And I think it's because I was just happy to be there. but these girls were so serious. So like straight face, like I would try to talk and no one really wanted to talk to me at first. And I did meet this one sweet girl and we exchanged stories and stuff like that. And it was really nice. But, I get it's still a competitive sport at the end of the day, but I think it's mostly competitive with yourself. It's not even about anyone else because you don't know who's going to be in that lineup that day. You have no idea. And it's like, it's not like it's a soccer match where you're showing up and then you play in that game. Like you have to prepare for a bodybuilding competition weeks, months in advance. This is not like you just step on stage and like here you are and hopefully you get first place. You prepare this. This is a whole you versus you conversation because you don't know what's going on with the other people. You don't know how they look. Like you don't know what they're going to look like behind stage. And that's why I say it's you versus you. That's your only competition at the end of the day. If you're proud of how you did your prep and how you showed up for yourself, then that's a win.
So going through your first prep, I mean, what was that adventure and experience like, and how did you, what was the modern monitoring like, and what was kind of the just kind of keeping track of all like the vitals, if you will, and the how I'm feeling and all that kind of stuff. How did that go?
Yeah, it was a random prep, honestly. I got clear from my doctor and then I was like, all right, let's do it. And it was a quick 6 week prep. I was already pretty small. I didn't have a lot of muscle mass on me. But that's actually my favorite part is prep. I just get so excited. I love the diet. I love the organization of how it's supposed to be. Everyone says they get crazy on prep or they get moody. I am just really happy. I'm just so excited to be stepping on stage. It was just such a surreal moment for me. And it's like once I stepped on stage, I was like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I knew it. And I'm like, this is what I want my journey to be is, becoming pro. And I know everyone says they want to become an IFBB pro, but if you work hard enough, you will get there. And that's what I'm trying to prove that like even with one kidney, I'm still gonna get there, still gonna get there. But I would say for the most part, like I was happy. Obviously it's hard, doing 2 45 minutes of stairs per day on low calories, but that wasn't the toughest thing I've ever done. The toughest thing I've ever done was stay alive. So for this, I wouldn't say easy, but I would say it was a mind challenge, but it was a challenge that was easy for me because I've been through so many obstacles that I was like, what is this? I'm going to give it my all. Like I said before, obviously everyone wants to win. Like, of course, everyone wants to win. I want to win, like, but it's you versus you. And for me, seeing myself 8 years ago in a hospital bed and then seeing me stepping on stage with muscle on my body and healthiest I've ever been, that is such much more of a win to me than getting a first place trophy, honestly.
Maybe it was something you dealt with more earlier on, but how do you handle those emotions, or what really are those emotions like super powerful when it comes to just thinking about that aspect of like, look how far I've come, and just like the grateful for being able to do it, and does all that kind of culminate on show day?
Oh yeah, it absolutely does. So if I were to, I would relive that moment 1,000 times again. And I know that sounds crazy because it's like, why would you want to relive being in the hospital so many times again? And I think it's because it made me who I am today. It 100% made me who I am today. And going through all that taught me so much, and it's made me the person that I've truly wanted to be. And I keep growing because of it. And it's given me this mindset of encouraging others and inspiring others, something that I wish I had when I was in that position and I didn't. And so now that I have that voice and I'm able to speak out, that is just everything and more I could ever wish for. So I would relive that moment every single time. I used to think when I was younger, like, oh, where would I be if I didn't have all this happen? But at the end of the day, like, no, I want to be where I'm at right now. And I want to continue to grow and grow and grow to be where I see myself and have that vision because I didn't think I was going to be here, 8 years ago. I absolutely did not.
Do you have like a this is the change or this is the impact that I want to have?
I definitely have goals, but obviously, like, it's in God's hands. So I can think of what I want my life to look like, but at the end of the day, it's totally God's plan for me. But I think mainly, like, if I were to look at it and make it exactly how I wanted it, it would obviously be work as hard as I can, keep inspiring others, become the first pro with one kidney, become a motivational speaker, have a documentary, be able to speak out to women, men, whoever it is, people who are struggling with a disease or maybe their mindset, where I can help encourage them and let them know that it's okay, and it's okay to take a step back to, like, I'm not competing this year because I believe in the long game, I'm not going to get what I want in a short amount of time. It's never going to be easy. I have to have patience, you know? I talked to my new coach a few weeks ago, actually, and he wanted me to step on stage this year. And unfortunately, my dog, she got diagnosed with a rare cancer and she had to have surgery. And I was like, no, it just doesn't seem like the right time to do that. But I think our route that we're going to do, we've talked about this so many times because he's so excited. I'm so excited, is we're going to step into the Natural Federation, get my Natural Pro card, then step back into the NPC and then see where I go with that. Because now the NPC has also natural shows, which I'm super pumped for. So that might be the route that I go, the NPC natural. And I think it's the Ben Weeder. So I'll probably be out there next year doing the Ben Weeder. Yeah. And it sounds so basic, but staying true to yourself is the most important thing, I think, honestly. And I think as you get older, you understand more that staying true to who you are is going to attract the right people too. I think sometimes, like you said, people try to fit this mold or this box to be like other people instead of finding their circle of truly who they are and who they want to be.
Thanks for coming on. I really enjoy it. Enjoyed the conversation. If you want to share any socials or any, whatever you have going on in the near future, you can go ahead and do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's just my Instagram's at Windsey, Windsey. So it's like win, win. And then what is it? My TikTok is Windsey Allen. So same thing, just my last name's Allen.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.